Hello.
Hi.
I am Lindsay Lohan.
Oh wait, sorry. That's a Jeff
Not
Dunham
yet.
bit.
Not so fast.
We got him, guys. A Jewish sorcerer.
No, he's a half Jewish,
Half-Sorcerer.
half sorcerer.
So his
I'm just
mother
an
is
American
Jewish.
magician.
No. We'll tell you when your time to speak is up.
Yeah.
So we're on in a forest.
We're not in a forest.
Shut up. We're in a forest.
Dude, we're in the middle of the city.
The forest in the middle of the city, where we are. We've ate some chavapi and had coffee, and are now having water with a half Jewish, half sorcerer.
Yeah.
So I gave the intro. So B, you can take it away from that.
Okay. So he's an Orthodox Jew. An Eastern Orthodox Jew.
Right click define. Confused. Hey Siri. Google somebody.
Whenever Em calls for Siri to help him out,
I get Google.
she sides with me. So
That's also correct. Okay, as you can see, we have a guest.
a guest episode. If you will.
Welcome guest.
Hi,
Hello.
guest.
Thank you for having. No. Thank you for.
Having us.
Yeah.
What?
I think what you're trying to say is thank you for being here.
Yeah, that's what I was going. That's what I was going. And then you say,
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Oh, we're like a talk show.
Finally, we're going according to the script.
Wait, I didn't get a script.
Oh shoot!
Just wing it.
No, really,
like,
shoot.
like we did with our all previous episodes. By the way, guys, when we initially planned this podcast, the idea was to have like converts to Orthodoxy share their story.
Like a more popular version, Orthobros.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is first such episode. I
okay.
think.
Yeah, if this guy is really like Orthodox, which is yet to be determined. But yeah, I mean, let's, you know, let's dissect his faith.
No. He's a joke. You shouldn't joke like that. They can be perfidious.
Sorry, my political correctness button was off. My toggle was, untoggled.
In any case, Sergey here lives in Serbia.
Yes.
He's an Orthodox,
Yes.
half Jew.
Yes.
With a
And-
Russian name, but his father is Scottish.
Yes.
Everything's whacked.
Everything is whacked and messed up.
Yes.
So the question is, how did we get here?
Yes.
Who are you? Who are we? Okay, that's for another episode.
That's a really great question.
I know.
If
It's
you
the
figure
best
out
one.
who I am, let me know, please.
It's the best one.
Start with the beginning.
Start with the beginning.
So I'm Sergey. I am now an Orthodox Christian. My father was a Baptist minister in North America. In addition to that, he was also an American soldier, an officer specializing in helping to reconstruct after natural disasters and wars. So like the earthquake in Haiti a few years back, or various wars happen, and the specialty is called civil affairs. So they find who was doing, say, medical work before the war, the disaster, and put them together with maybe an NGO like Doctors Without Borders or some other group to be able to care for the people. And so he kind of had these two vocations, and as a result, we moved all over the United States. I'd lived in 8 different states before I was 7 years old.
But wait, so he wasn't like an expert, like specialized in like a certain area, like civil engineering or something. He would like find people and facilitate them taking over necessary roles to rebuild the societies. Something.
His specialty is coordinating between, obviously, the American military, a local government, local businesses and organizations, as well as non-government organizations from abroad. So, for example, in Haiti, they had the horrible earthquake and then the hurricanes, and then because of the United Nations bringing a type of disease, they had that horrible cholera outbreak. His specialty is that they go through and find, all right, who were the doctors that were here beforehand? What happened to the hospital? Okay, well, there's no electric in the hospital. Where did the electric come from? Where was the manufacturing of the electric? What happened to the power lines? For example, here in the Balkans, when the horrible civil war happened that broke up Yugoslavia, people literally cut power lines and took the copper wire away.
They still do.
Yeah. I just want to say that.
FYI.
So the question was, how do we get power back to these towns, these cities, these hospitals? Where did the doctors go? Who's caring for the people? What kind of diseases they have? So the doctors that he worked with that were military doctors didn't treat soldiers. They came up with health plans for a nation. And then being a Baptist minister, his goal as well was to bring people to faith in Jesus Christ as he understood it as a Baptist. So his military service is what we call reserves. So his commitment is 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year, unless they need him. And then it's like however long they need him. Then as a civilian, he was an associate pastor, is what we say. And then
Associate pastor?
Assistant pastor.
Assistant pastor.
So you have the main pastor that does like all the preaching and stuff, and then you have the associate pastors.
Is this common to Baptist churches?
Yes. Yep. So it would be
Equivalent of a deacon?
yes, but no. Orthodox churches set up totally differently. But the associate pastor would be maybe the coordinator of the youth ministry, the outreach ministry.
But still an ordained priest.
But still an ordained minister. Okay. Yeah.
But practically a bit of an administrative role.
More involved in the hands-on mentorship, whereas the pastor is involved in preaching.
Okay.
So that would be. So I grew up in that environment. I actually learned how to read out of the Bible on my dad's lap at 4 years old. And then
at like 40 or something, whatever, learns to read in Orthodox.
So I actually learned how to read out of the King James Bible.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, that is early modern English. So the same English as like what William Shakespeare wrote in. It's 1611 is during Shakespeare's time.
Yeah.
In fact, Shakespeare writes several plays about various drama that King James himself was involved in. King James was openly closeted homosexual that dabbled in witchcraft.
As they do.
Good to know.
Yeah.
But he spearheaded the translation of the Bible in his spare time.
He gave the money for it.
Nice.
He gave the money for it, and that was mainly a political thing.
You will put my name.
Yeah.
Here's the gold coins.
Yeah. Essentially, the King James is an amalgamation of and blending of several different translations into English that had happened before that.
Thank you for expanding my vocabulary, though. Amalgamation. Thank you so much.
It used a translation or a collection called Textus Receptus. Textus Receptus, as Islam comes into historically Orthodox lands, historically Christian lands, many people became refugees, just as what happens today with war. And those refugees took the holy things that they had and fled into what is now Western Europe, which had the Vulgate, the Latin Vulgate, as the main translation of the scriptures that was used. And there was a monk, forgive me, I can't think of his name right now.
Receptus.
No.
That would be so
Textus
convenient.
Receptus is Latin for the texts we received, or the text I received. And he made this collection and copies of various texts and compiled it into one New Testament in Greek, with his personal translation into Latin on the other side. This is what Luther used to produce his copy of the scriptures. It's questionable how fluent Luther was in Greek, and obviously he threw off church, the handing down of understanding through the ages, and came up with the idea of sola fide, or we're saved by faith alone. And
Does that predate sola scriptura?
No,
that
it's
is sola
concurrent.
scriptura.
So it's
It's one of the
like
is
an aspect of it.
no, it's one of the main teachings
okay.
of Luther.
So you have
I read about it recently, by the way, but I like chronologically, it's kind of hard to
five
follow, to me.
solas of the Protestant Reformation.
I thought there were 4. No, you know your parentheses.
And-
We're so going to
and,
question
well,
their
that's the thing.
orthodoxy, but
That's the thing is
Yeah.
that depending on which group you follow, there might be
Yeah.
4, there might be 7, there might be 3, but generally it's
I was reading a book
5.
by Father Andrew Stephen Daming.
Oh,
He orthodoxy and heterodoxy.
heterodox.
And that was my first detailed like report on Protestantism.
Right.
And I'm still brushing up very, very hard to keep it all up, because there's so much to it.
The thing is if you look at each of these sole or alone,
We
they
know our Latin,
seem to
especially
make-
the word for yes.
they seem to make sense at first glance. We believe that we are saved by Christ alone. Yes,
Okay.
like as Christians, as Orthodox Christians, we can say, yes, I'm saved by
Or
the work
through
of
Christ.
Christ
but okay.
alone. What we would understand of that is that Christ saves us, and it is only through the work of Christ that we can attain salvation. Now we cooperate with God's grace. We cooperate with the work of Christ, and the saints also cooperated with the work of Christ, and so we're saved by Christ together with all of creation. But it's Christ who saves us.
Plus, there's this part about us willing,
Right.
being
So,
willing,
and that's where the soles kind of veer off, is when you take it too far in an extreme. You get this idea that Christ does all of the work in salvation, and you have no response whatsoever. And so,
Yay!
or your response is the next sole, by Christ alone, in grace alone, through his gift alone, in faith alone. And we know this from the scriptures alone, and it is only for the glory of God, or to the glory of God alone. And so faith alone says that it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you believe, putting faith and belief as synonyms, which I don't believe they are in Greek, and I don't think they are in say, Serbian or Slavonic. And Luther says, sin boldly or sin profoundly, but believe. And in his preaching to Prince Philip, he says, if the mistress of the house is unwilling, if your wife doesn't want to have sex, let the maid come. And Philip says, by God, this is my religion.
Finally.
And so that's how Luther, gets his position and gets protection from condemnation of the church. And the scriptures teach us we are not saved by faith alone. James tells us this explicitly. Paul tells us we're saved by grace apart from works of the law, or is how it's translated in English. The Greek there is ergonomou, from which we get the word ergonomics, like ergonomic camera or whatever.
Yeah. Holder.
Yeah. So the concept there of like we're not like do this like magic and or a checklist and you'll be saved. It's not a legal transaction. That's part of the issue, is that Luther was trained as a lawyer, and just before basically his doctoral dissertation equivalency, he throws a kegger, a giant drunken party / orgy, and he says to his friends, tomorrow you will look for me, but you will not find me. I will become an Augustinian. And the Augustinians are like real monks. Like they're not these like half-ass like sort of monks. They're like real monks. And his friends are like, Mart, you're drunk. Sleep it off. You'll be fine in the morning. Then the next morning he went to the monastery and became a monk. And they said, well, he has all this education and we should really make him a priest. And so basically after years of study from like basically grammar school through having basically a PhD in law, he all of a sudden starts writing about the scriptures, and that got him his doctorate because the Catholic canon law said you couldn't be a priest unless you had a doctorate. And so that's how he got his doctorate. He never really gets fluent, from what I understand, in Greek. His teaching as far as who we are and what we are, Orthodox Christianity teaches us that we're this precious, loved children of God. Luther says that we are a pile of dog shit, and that after salvation we're still a pile of dog shit. We're just covered in snow. That's like, granted it's not in German, but that's a quote from Luther.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, so for
There's
starters,
a lot to uncover.
yeah.
So that's
A lot of
the
snow
theology
to be,
I kind of
pushed aside.
grew up in, and by God's grace, I first became friends with some Roman Catholics, and then I got introduced to the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, the Uniats, which evidently is a pejorative, so don't say that word. And from them, I came in contact with the Russian Church. I was baptized in 2006 by the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, which is the Church of Saint Rokor, Church of Saint John of Shanghai and San Francisco, and the church that canonized Saint Nikolai and Saint Nicholas the Tsar.
Yeah,
That's a good
family.
church to be baptized in.
So
Just
my bishops, like my bishop in America, was the altar boy for Saint John.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Did he talk to you about Saint? Did he talk to people about Saint John?
Yeah, he from time to time will talk about Saint John. He absolutely beautiful, amazing man. If you guys ever get the chance to go to Chicago, I highly recommend the Russian Cathedral in Chicago. I got to see the Kursk root icon. Do you know this icon?
Yeah, of it.
How did you name it?
Kursk root icon.
Okay.
Do you know this icon?
Yes, I
Can you
know.
tell him what this icon is?
It's
I mean-
an icon of the Mother of God.
Okay. Saint Seraphim had it. Saint Seraphim of Sarov.
Is
By
that,
the way,
is that the one with which he passed away?
yes. I got to see this icon several times. Once was in the cathedral in Chicago during the Great Fast would have been 2016, 2015, 2014 or so. And they were having the unction service, and I had no idea just the beauty of a really good architectural Orthodox church and how it's designed for the sound properly. And
Monastery
so,
of Avedeni.
uh,
That's a monastery. Did you visit monastery of Avedeni?
No.
Here in Belgrade?
Nope.
You have to.
Okay.
Seriously.
Sometime we
No,
go.
you absolutely you have to.
Bishop is serving, and anytime Bishop is singing or reading any of the prayers, you can hear him through the entirety of the
Yeah.
cathedral. Now the cathedral is packed. I mean, like packed. And there was a demoniac there, but that's a different story for a different
There
time.
was a
maybe.
what?
A guy that was demon possessed.
Demoniac.
At the services.
That's the term.
It was amazing to see the priests deal with him, and amazing to watch the subdeacons. I don't know that they realized he was possessed, but every time he kept moving to try and get close to the bishop, like a subdeacon would end up stepping in the way, or one of the altar brothers would step in the way, and he would kind of end up getting pushed away from the bishop.
Was it like a proper exorcism?
There was no exorcism that happened.
But what did happen? What was it all about?
So we were having the unction service that we do.
Yeah, can you translate that for me, by the way? Thank you.
Yellow
the seven.
The
seven.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Serving some service in front of the icon as well. Let me finish about the architecture. Every time Bishop sings, you can hear him through the entirety of the church, as if he's standing right next to you. And then a priest or one of the deacons will sing, and it's like the sound just totally drops off. And I'm like, I don't know who's handling the microphones here, but they really need to get the mic system down. And then I realized not a single priest or the bishop or any of the deacons had microphones on. It's just that where the bishop's stand is in the middle of the church, surrounded by his people, Ignatius of Antioch.
Of course.
When he preaches or sings or anything from that spot, the sound hits the walls in such a way from that spot that it sounds like His Grace is standing right next to you. Wow. It is the most amazing, beautiful thing. If you step half a meter, a foot and a half, 2 feet off of where the bishop stands, and you sing with the same volume and intensity, or even a little bit more, you still can't hear with that same clarity as where the bishop stands. And it is phenomenal. So the demoniac...
By the way, when you hit the table, the camera goes...
Sorry about that.
Sorry, audience.
Yeah, sorry, audience.
I tend
We'll
to talk
keep him
with my
away.
hands.
Well, I'll do this.
Okay. I'm half Scottish and half Jewish, but I speak like an Italian, with my hands.
The exorcism. That's what I
No
want to know
exorcism.
about. Oh,
Seriously, no exorcism.
what was
So
it?
what happened
We were promised of an exorcism
I didn't
story.
say an exorcism.
You didn't,
I
but we
said a
assumed.
demoniac.
We assumed.
Yeah.
It's logical.
What happens is this guy goes up for the unction, and he and I are the last two to go for the anointing. And, there's the line of 7 priests, and because the priests can't possibly know all of the people, the hundreds of people that came to get the anointing, they ask you your name. And when they asked him his name, he gives this huge, we would say word salad name. And the priest looks at him very kindly and says, "Are you an Orthodox Christian?" And he says, "Yes, I'm an Orthodox Christian. In fact, I am a great saint."
Oh, nice.
says that.
Oh, yeah.
I was never there.
Sorry, guys.
He's mad, and one of the priests is about to kind of lose it. Another priest steps in and very calmly says, "Oh, well, if you're a saint, we can't give you the anointing without the blessing of the bishop." And
Call your bishop now.
yeah, that's what he says. And he says, "Oh no, the bishop has already gone to his residence and he's already in bed. It's late at night. We'll have to schedule this for a time in the future."
A very similar service
Yeah.
for healing.
So I have seen actual exorcisms. I don't like that's not an entertaining story to me.
Yeah.
Well,
This isn't about you.
I actually saw an exorcism here in Serbia. At
How?
the monastery.
An
that
American
brought me.
comes to Serbia and
Immediately, the fun stuff.
Come on, man.
We live here in our entire life.
This is not
Oh,
okay. This is not.
Lord.
I protest. Where was it? You were giving the contact of that priest.
I
You're
will.
gonna
End
use-
of the demonic.
You already did. I gave
Yeah.
you. I gave you the card. I gave you the
Okay,
card.
okay, we are dropping the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are. We're taking a
So-
chill pill.
That's one of the things I find really interesting is that so oftentimes as Christians we can get really excited to see the supernatural.
Yeah.
Mer streaming icons or
Okay.
a demoniac or God,
Okay,
let me
but-
see a miracle.
Yeah,
and then
please.
what happens?
Mm.
And what happens when you're holding a Mer streaming icon? Or when you actually
Well, tell
see
us.
Well, things happen. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. And some of them are overwhelming joy,
Yes.
and some of them are nothing but pure fear.
Exactly.
And
The icon of
the
fear.
whole concept of
Every icon.
why God would even allow us to see the supernatural is not to play with our curiosity, but to drive us closer to Him.
Yeah, but I think you might be potentially mistaking, just attributing all of that to curiosity.
Yes.
Because let's be
Okay.
honest, in Orthodox Christianity, there's so much for the physical senses,
Right.
intentionally made for the physical senses.
Right.
It is a religion, it is a faith that also includes us
Absolutely.
physically attending, doing things.
Mm.
So, personally, to be honest with you, I've prayed for a long time for a sign from God, for a sign like that. It was not out of curiosity.
Right.
It was because, Lord, give me faith.
Yes. Okay, so that's
Like, make my faith bulletproof. I mean,
Yeah.
it has an expiry date, just FYI.
Give
Yeah.
me level 4 body armor faith.
and don't let me get stopped by customs.
No, really. I'm just being honest here. Like, sometimes in life, especially, in like hard times, sometimes you will actually, albeit briefly, lose your faith.
Oh, absolutely.
You will be challenged. Your faith will be challenged.
Absolutely.
And then a logical mind will reach out left and
Right.
right to find it back again, because we bathe in faith. We
Right.
breathe through faith. Come on, let's be honest. So it's not always just curiosity.
Somebody that grew up evangelical and then dabbled in the Pentecostal movement and had friends. I have a lot of friends that are part of the neo-pagan movement in the United States. Some consider me a fire priest in their religion, whatever.
Okay.
Do you have a
Yeah.
card?
There's actually a really funny story. I was invited to
A black mass. All good stories start like that.
Yeah.
not a black mass, actually an alchemical fire ritual.
Sorry, what?
An alchemical fire ritual.
Gray mass.
Were you playing Dungeons and Dragons, or was this like
No, I
real
mean like
life?
this is their
Was this
religion.
a fantasy?
Yes.
Um,
Did they call it wildfire?
No.
Was it green?
No, it was orange. Just a regular fire that
Oh,
people kind of dance and walk and sing and meditate around this fire as a community.
damn it! These Americans get all the fun.
So
Yeah, we like roll a piece of bread.
we have the body of Christ, and they get to dance around fire. We have the incarnate God, and they get to dance around a fire.
Well, they have fireworks.
We
have fireworks at Christmas, and it scared the piss out of me when I first got here.
We need a Roman Catholic here just for one line: "Burn the heretics." Like that's all.
We can do that
Oh,
too.
man.
Just because we never got organized as Catholics doesn't mean we didn't do it.
So At this
We will discuss this later. At a later time.
At
Snooze. Snooze.
Don't make a scene during the recording.
Exactly. The guest is important. I mean,
Go on with your funny story.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
at this pagan thing, I was like, I don't really feel comfortable dancing around the fire, and they're like, oh well, here, just like wave this.
Here's a molly.
Feathers. No,
magic wand.
actually, it was completely no.
Drug-free
No drugs,
alchemist dance and fire
Yep.
thing.
So wave these bird feathers in the smoke as people come in, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's almost Orthodox.
And yeah, because it was like incense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so I would pray the prayer of the cross. Let God arise and let his enemies be scattered. Let those who hate him flee from before his face. As wax melts before the fire and smoke vanishes, so let those who hate God flee from before him and vanish. All those, do not cross themselves and say in gladness, rejoice, O life-giving cross of the Lord who is crucified on thee. And I would say this prayer as I was.
Well, I know it in
doing
Serbian.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure.
It's the first
And,
time I've heard it in English, though.
I would do this, and a while later, like a couple of days into this 4-day thing,
It was a
this
3-day thing.
yeah.
Why did you attend again?
'Cause
you were waving feathers at smoke for 3 days.
Oh,
Not
that was
for
your
the
task.
whole 3 days,
That
but
was your task. You were the one waving the feathers.
You
not
were the
wearing.
feather
waving.
No, wave,
Waver.
wave. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
No, you said wearing.
No, stop correcting me.
Yes, sir.
So no, seriously. So that was
Yeah.
like your task.
That was like
You
my
over
thing.
there, you're gonna be waving the feathers at anybody who comes in.
Yeah, so like they
You're
had
gonna be
this
doing
big
that for
circle.
3 days, and you were praying Christian prayers
Yeah,
during their thing.
and somebody
we
said.
should have proof tested our guest before.
Yeah,
you
it's a confusing episode. That's all I'm gonna say.
So somebody says to me, we really like it when you're at the gate, and I said, oh, and they said, yeah, it feels like going through a psychic car wash. And I was
Did
like,
they hear you? Did you like? Did you?
no, I was just saying them.
Like in your mind.
Yeah. And I said,
Making the sign of the cross.
oh, I said, that's interesting that you say that. I'm praying this prayer that's kind of an exorcism. I mean, it's not exorcism prayers, but it's kind
Well,
of.
gotta be
Let's
honest
say
with you,
it's
definitely an
It's
exorcism.
100. Yeah,
If
it's 100% exorcism.
I mean, when you actually read the actual prayers of
Yeah,
exorcism,
yeah.
they're sort of weaker.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, man.
I've never read the exorcism
That's-
prayers. I've
Well,
never heard.
You
of
don't
it in
have
English.
to. You already know the outmost.
the strongest
Yeah,
one.
literally, like
So,
you're
which-
already using the top
half
of
of
the
that
pile.
half of that prayer is part of the Psalms.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Okay.
Like it's literally
You know that,
God
right?
burn all the enemies, like destroy everything around me, like done.
So with that, then I was like, yeah, I'm
Unbelievable.
praying these prayers of exorcism, and they're like, oh, can you teach them to us?
Nice.
So
And,
we exercise ourselves from ourselves.
And
For free.
like I was somewhat worried that they would be upset with me or something, and it really
Pass me the
told me what Saint Seraphim says. No, I am not a person that has inner peace. I'm not a person of holiness, but what little of the grace of God I have is something that from time to time I can get out of the way, and the grace of God shines through me, and people want God's grace. And that's the thing is if we just get the heck out of the way, and let God's grace. That's the thing. Like earlier, before we came on camera, we were talking about evangelism and re-evangelizing Serbia.
Such a boring topic, though.
Yes.
Snooze fest.
When the Americans come, they shove you around and all of that fun stuff. Anyways, with that, then the main thing is just be present and love people. If you're present and love people, don't judge them. It's for God to judge.
But here's the thing: when you
then
say
they'll
remove
see that
ourselves, when you say we need to remove ourselves,
Mhm.
do you mean all the things I like?
No.
You know,
No, not at all. I'm a professional magician. I'm a sleight of hand artist. I do card tricks and coin
Yeah,
tricks and
we're
rope
gonna have to
tricks
check
and
that though.
straight jackets and chains and
Level
Oh,
4.
kinky.
Level 4 armor straight jackets.
level 4.
He's a
You guys are
professional
gonna keep bringing that up.
lunatic. He's a
Um,
professional lunatic.
So, can I tell the story of the level 4 armor and why you
You
guys
can
keep referring
totally
to that?
tell any story.
Okay.
Some of it might be censored, wink,
Okay.
nudge,
So
but
the thing is I use my magic to build relationships with people.
and smuggle illegal goods.
That's a different story.
Oh, sorry.
And like there's a young man here in Belgrade that has an absolute hatred for the Orthodox Church,
How did you know?
and the reason he is
You're not young.
because he's like his experience of the Orthodox Church has been from like the hardcore Serb nationalist
Yeah.
within the Orthodox
There's many
Church.
people who literally hate the church because of it.
Right.
It is what it is.
And he likes me, and for whatever reason, poor bastard. And
Did you read the exorcism prayer?
I didn't.
Did you try it on
I
him?
didn't actually. Just friendly with him. I was watching him skateboard. He saw me do some magic, and at one point, he and I started talking as we were walking in the same direction. And I said, "Listen, I know you're an atheist. I know you don't have any desire for holy things or for God. And you guys know these. I'm sure people at home know these beautiful little holy cards that you
Yeah.
can get that are
Holy cards?
plastic.
That's a new thing for me.
That's
so-
how they're called.
Like
Holy
it's
cards.
like
Yes.
these three. We have Saint Nikolai of Japan,
Mhm.
and this one is
Saint Porphyrius.
thank you.
Porphyria.
Brand new canonized by the Greek Church. He was canonized by the Russian the Russian Orthodox Church.
You can
outside of
see
Russia.
that it's brand new because it's using pink.
Yeah.
I
Go
think that
ahead.
was actually painted before he was canonized. And then, of course, Saint John of Shanghai and San Francisco, who was a schismatic bishop.
Excuse me.
But I had one of the Mother of God, the inexhaustible chalice. And
Love that one.
So this
not
kid
just, that's not just an icon.
he's like 4 beers in at like 17.
Yeah.
Walking 4 beers into starting his Friday night or whatever. And I said, listen, I'm one of those guys that like, you have this really good energy about you, and would you do me a favor? Would you carry this with you? And like, this is mine. I want this back at some point, whether it's the next time we see each other or down the road at some point. This is mine, but would you carry it with you for a little while? I know you're not religious. I know you're an atheist, but like, treat this like you would a picture of your grandma. Treat it with a little bit of love. And he took it. And I've seen him 2 or 3 times, and he shows it to me every time. And I'm like, so do you want to give it back, Nick? No. I'd like to carry it around a little bit longer. And I don't know what God is doing in his life, but like, God is like, he's reached out, like the story of the onion. He's reached out for some goodness in carrying that little icon, and I have no idea the grace that God will give this young man through that little icon. But it started with, I like watching skateboarding. I can't skateboard. I'm a clumsy individual. And doing card tricks and just being present and listening.
It's confusing to me how you can be a full-time magician with hands that are smaller than mine. And I have small hands.
Yeah.
It's
Put your hand
it's
up like this.
It's
No.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
there we go. See,
It's
I-
ridiculous.
yeah, I'm just good. I'm just
It's
really
ridiculous.
good.
I protest again.
So
I'm
you are
such a
Protestant.
Protestant. Yeah, that's what I was going for.
By the
Wow,
way,
really?
You see? I just had
You
to
got
do it
out
on
the
camera.
stuff because I'm Jewish. No, it's because of Corona. He's not racist.
No, I had to do it. It was a perfect moment.
Yeah.
Do you guys want some?
Are you gonna bring the lighter out and like spray
No.
me with it and then?
and then
No.
spray the mosquitoes.
It was a joke.
It was
Don't
a
be
crack.
the sensitive version of Jew.
No. So my understanding of biology is we end up killing the bacteria off, and the ones that survive become more and more immune.
Yeah.
And so,
You mean we empower the ones?
yeah,
We destroy
it's
some, we empower
bacterial empowerment movement.
yeah, that's essentially what that is.
some. But it says here, kill germs without water.
yes,
So,
but the ones
germs
that don't
you
get
don't
killed.
use water, they'll survive.
Yeah, but there's a difference. There's a difference between like bacteria and virus.
Yes.
So if
and
we're talking
alcohol
about-
will split open many viral shells.
I mean, bacteria will grow stronger, but viruses, that's a no-no as far as I know. It almost rhymes.
no.
That's a no-no as far as I know.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
And that's
so
why he's not a rapper.
they kept referring to level 4 armor. The story behind that is how I ended up in Serbia is that a number of years ago I was offered the opportunity to train as a paramedic, a field medic, and I spent 2 years as a volunteer medic in Iraq, working for the Kurdish regional government, unpaid, under the direction and protection of the Peshmerga forces and the Iraqi Federal Police. I was responsible to pull civilians away from the fighting and became responsible also to care for injured Iraqi police, Peshmerga soldiers, treated some Hastashabi, which are Iranian militias operating in Iraq. I worked shoulder to shoulder with Iraqi Federal Army, United States Army, French Foreign Legion, the whole gambit, including Marine Recon. Those guys kept me in tasty rejected MREs, so I'm very grateful for them. When I left Iraq, I knew I was crazy, and that's how I ended up in Serbia, because a nun invited me to Serbia. And when I came with what I had. So I had some medical supplies. I had like one pair of civilian clothes, a couple of uniforms. I had a motorcycle.
They let you keep the uniforms?
Yeah, because after you wear them, nobody wants them.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I've seen like those like stories and reports on like stolen valor when people would dress up in military clothes to try to get discounts.
Yeah, I wasn't.
don't really.
I am not military. I was not military. I was a volunteer medic that worked for the Kurdish regional government, and they realized that a medic running around the battlefield naked was not a good thing, and so they gave me their
Level 4
uniforms.
ballistic armor.
That's
No,
the thing,
okay.
is at one point they realized that we don't want the medic to get killed, and so they gave me, one of the guys bought me bulletproof plates. So you have different levels of like probability that this will stop a bullet from getting you. Level 1, 2, and 3 are soft, and so that's for like a low-powered handgun from a little bit distance. That's like the Kevlar mesh weave that you'll see. Level 4 is when it starts to get hard, and mine was steel with ceramic, and there's one for the chest and then one for the shoulders, and evidently it is a crime to bring those across international lines without proper paperwork and all of this different
So
stuff.
did we record this?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I
mean, you were the head of your father was like leading doctors without licenses, so
Doctors Without Borders.
that's what they said.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So he didn't lead them; he worked with them. Anyways,
Let us
I wouldn't
hello.
lead them. I wouldn't lead them either if they didn't have a license.
they have licenses. They just don't.
You just said they didn't.
No, they don't
Everybody
have
can
borders.
have their own takeaway from your stories.
So when I got to Serbia, I put them onto the conveyor. Like they were inside my luggage. I put them onto the conveyor.
Oh God.
And they do the X-rays, and the guy comes running around the the machine. Whoa, 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 whoa. And he's like saying this in Serbian.
Is this the story about how you spent 20 years in Serbian jail?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
sorry. No.
I didn't spend 20 years in Serbian jail. I've never been to Serbian jail.
Okay.
Okay.
You were
Oh, that's the other guy.
Yeah.
That's our next guest.
So
if he gets out.
he comes around and he looks at the bag, and on the bag is my medical emblem. And he looks at it. He looks at me. He looks at the nun who had come to that section to pick me up, standing next to me, realizing that she's a nun. Looks at the bag, looks at me, and says, "You're a doctor?" And because I just didn't want to try to explain what a paramedic is, I said yes. And he picks up the bag, shoves it into my hands, and says, "Go away, go away." And
Okay.
That's so Serbian of him.
Yeah.
I came into Serbia with level 4 armor that has now been recycled.
Oh, I was gonna ask to see it.
Yeah,
I was going to wear it.
Oh man, it's
Dude.
heavy. Oh, I wish I had it.
I'm
It could
also
help.
heavy. I'm also heavy. By the way, this sort of reminds me of my mother has all sorts of funny stories from the airport, and we can
Including
do
our level 2
makeup armor. So anyway, she was to Switzerland.
Okay.
So she comes to the airport, puts her bag on the conveyor belt, like beep, 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 beep. And the worker at the airport, "Madam, would you please follow me?" And they go into a separate room.
Oh, come with me, please.
Oh man, I hate that feeling.
Yeah. She gets seated. This lady comes in wearing white latex gloves. "Ma'am, can I have your purse?" And she takes the purse. And like 30 Swiss knives fall from the purse on the table, and the lady's like, "Oh, souvenirs!" And she gives my mother her bag, and she entered the airplane with 30 knives.
Okay. The contrast to that. One of my friends is on a chartered plane. One of my friends in the American military is on a chartered plane,
Okay.
and they land in one city, and for whatever reason, like all the people on this plane, except for the pilots and the stewardesses, are American military leaving a war zone, complete with their rifles. And they get them all off the plane and send them through security. And so the guys end up dumping their
Rifles.
carry-on luggage onto the thing, and one of the TSA agents takes the nail clippers, says, "You can't have these." And my friend's standing there with his M4 rifle, because they can't touch that, right? Because like he's says, "Why can't I have my nail clippers?" And kid you not, with a straight face, the TSA agent says, "Because they can be used as a weapon." And my friend just taps the butt of his M4 rifle and says, "Yes, who would think of..." And the guy kept his nail clippers. Like the entire plane had all of their weapons, rifles and handguns and all of this stuff. But they kept his nail clippers.
No, I can imagine a scene like in the mid-flight. "Johnny, are you ready?" "I am, Brian."
Did you bring the nail? No, my nail!
It's ruined. It's ruined.
We can't do this now.
Operation Nail Clipper called off. Nail clippers.
Yeah, all these guys wanted to do was like look good when they got home, and
Exactly.
yeah, so
Dear God.
brilliant, beautiful. So you guys like the idea of
One question: Did that plane land safely?
yes,
There you go.
yes,
Absolutely.
Who are we to question the wisdom of TSA?
Exactly. You respect the process.
process,
Process.
Papers, please.
papers.
Process.
Papers,
I
please.
actually had a police officer tell me that papers.
Papers.
Because like he couldn't think of the word passport, which evidently is the same in Serbian.
Pasaporto.
Yeah, it was like it's only happened once in 2 years I've been in Serbia. There's a beauty of being old They don't think you're a rebel rouser.
Yeah.
Señor,
So,
tu papel, por favor, su papel.
but to hear a police officer, papers, please, was like
like a
I
good
all but
video
died
game.
laughing.
Let's talk about how you see Serbia. That's interesting to me.
Okay.
How long have you been here?
So I've been here since April 1st, which was Palm Sunday 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
2018.
So 2 years plus
2
some.
years plus 6 months.
Two and
Okay,
a half
that's a
years.
5 months.
decent time spent in Serbia.
Oh, I spent 6 or 7 months out of Serbia in Germany for work.
In Germany.
Yeah.
Typical
Germany-
Serb going
Exactly,
to Germany to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're already like naturalized.
I even have relatives in Chicago.
Already? Wow. He is one of us, despite being a Jewish wizard.
Magician. I'm a magician.
Well, I still can't find my ear.
All I remember is fire priest.
Doing exorcism with God knows what.
Yes, and masking his good work with
Icons and
feathering. What would be
oh no, and he's like a typical Serbian sorcerer. Oh no, I don't do magic. Look, icons, lot of icons everywhere.
You want me to say a prayer for your health?
Do you want me to tear somebody's marriage apart? I can do
No.
that.
You
too.
want children, don't you?
Or you don't want children anymore. Pick a spell, any spell.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Is she
Yeah, that's-
faithful enough? How do you mean you don't know?
That's I did not. So a couple of things about Serbia that surprised me. I was walking down the street and I passed a church, and right near the church was a strip club.
Which church is this?
Sveti Marko.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, how near is a strip club?
So a block?
How good is that street club?
A block?
I don't know.
So you think that we should like not allow a strip club an entire block away from a church? That ain't happening. Like it
It would be nice, but
So
it would be nice, yes, but it's not happening.
yeah, I mean, I just found it ironic because, like in America, we always hear these stories about the pious old country, and so the fact that you have a strip club, and B,
Dude, America's huge. America's huge.
But I hear these stories about how pious people are in Serbia or Romania or Russia.
How pious are they? Tell
And
me
that's
about
the thing is
Tell me
having
about it.
been now to Bulgaria and Serbia,
tell me.
wow,
like both of these countries.
they're just like us. They're pagans. I mean, they're non-religious.
Both of these countries you've listed literally had violent revolutions that introduced communist rulers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's how pious we were.
yeah,
They used to turn churches into nightclubs.
yeah.
Now, we do have empires in our castles. That's true.
So-
Except in Serbia, it's more of water mills.
Let's start in the proper order of things. Now I'm
Okay.
messing up with the camera. I'm messing with the camera, not messing up with the camera. So let's talk about the pious people first. How do you see Orthodox Christianity in Serbia?
Okay, so like in any religion, in any place in the world, among the people who are perhaps regular attenders, you kind of have two different groups. You have those that are being transformed by their faith, and those who are holding on to their faith as cultural identity. These are two totally different groups. One is religion, to use the American terms. One is religion, the other is relationship.
Relationship.
Yeah, so that don't worry, that comes from Protestantism. It's a joke. It's a really bad joke that he got.
Well,
you didn't.
well, he has
that's
been
okay.
he has been on the Christian internet since like forever.
Yeah.
And they
for
let
me,
it transform.
So, 5 points for you.
you have some people that like they understand the difference between this is something humorous and that is impious, or that is not acceptable, that's blasphemy, or however you want to phrase that.
Burn the heretics.
Yeah, and then you have the people that like they're Orthodox because they're Serbian. You ask them to say the Our Father or some other prayer or the Creed or something, and they have no idea. And that's unfortunately what the Protestants that come to Serbia are banking on. And they go around and they use tactics that are actually taught by the FBI and the CIA and all
Does
these
it
different
work?
groups. Yes, unfortunately it does.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that some Protestants from United States of America
Yes.
are coming to Serbia
To
and
get
are converting what we could call traditionalists or people who regard Orthodoxy as a cultural heritage. They convert them to Protestantism.
Yes,
That's what
those
you're
that are
telling
on the fringe of
We're gonna have
cultural
words,
orthodoxy.
you guys, about that.
Yeah,
No,
so-
no. I mean, were you like? Have you met these people?
Yes. So like within that, there's those that are like really hardcore with it, and then those that like they wear the brojanica, the prayer ropes, simply because they're Serbian. You ask them, well, what is the prayer that you say with that? No, it's because I'm Serbian.
Yeah, you know what? What that just reminded me of this interview that was recently conducted. It's so stupid. You know what Arab numbers are, right?
I
I mean, they're numbers. The numbers that you use are Arab numbers.
No, they're Hindu.
They're Arab because the Arabs
Actually-
spread them across
No.
the world. No, sorry.
No, the book
They're called
that-
the Arab numbers.
Yeah.
They are.
The book that came to Fibonacci in North Africa, not by an Arab, by a Persian. It was written by a Persian, and the title of the book is literally on the
Arab
setting, the setting of the setting of bones, solving of equations, using Hindu numerals.
Just so you know, we will fact check that.
Yeah, please do.
And second of all, they are still called the Arab numbers, whether or
At
not
least
they're
it's,
truly.
It's racist
What's racist?
because Arab numerals are a different system. Dude, I lived in Iraq.
In Serbia,
Okay.
we call them Arab numbers.
Because
Guys,
it was
are you ready to see these famed Arab numbers?
Yes, these are the well, no,
You know, you
can't-
could put
I
a-
try to focus.
And you failed.
Yeah,
You know that
yeah.
my phone does not focus?
Yeah, this
So these are technically called.
this
Idiot.
yeah.
These are Western variant Hindu Persian numbers.
I question
Eastern
this
variant.
guest now.
Hindu Persian
I
numbers
question your choices.
are a little bit different, and the authentic Arab numerals was a base 60 system, which is why we have 360 degrees in a circle, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a
You
minute.
say you were a medic?
Yeah.
No, he's
I'm a
doing
super nerd.
He's doing his magic right now.
No.
He's
Ah.
talking about stuff and magic
Medic and magic also kind of the
paramagic.
same.
Paramagic.
Yeah,
We call them Arab numbers. That's how we were taught in school. We were taught that there's the Arab numbers
And that's
and the
only way.
Roman numbers. That's literally how we were taught in school.
and
100%.
really,
Yeah.
Yep.
But the interview was funny because they would ask people on the street, do you think it's okay that we're making our kids, our children, learn the Arab numbers? And people be like, no, we're already teaching them so much crap. You know, like I can't believe that the government is adding Arab numbers like above everything else
Okay.
on
Yeah,
top
yeah,
of.
yeah.
So it was like
I
it
see
was
what you're saying there.
ridiculous. People
Yeah.
made such fools of themselves. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember this guy asking this lady, "Do you know the Arab numbers?" She was like, "Yes." Well, how many Arab numbers do you know? I know 10. It was like, but can you write down at least one of them for me? No, I'm not gonna be writing down Arab numbers in an Christian Orthodox Serbia. that was like top notch comedy gold, like comedy gold. I have it somewhere saved.
So Eastern variation of the number system. 1 is the same. 2 is actually a backwards 7. 3 is a backwards 7 with a curly Q in it. 4 is actually a 3. 5 is a circle.
You mean a 0?
6 is
potato. A fat 0.
6, I think, is the number 7. What looks like a 7 to us.
Waving feather.
7 is a downward arrow. 8 is an upward arrow. 9 is a traditional 9, and 0 is a point. So 10 becomes 1 with a point.
Just so you know, the name of this episode is going to be Half Jew, Paramagician, comma, also nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. So I read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica like 4 or 5 times before I was 7.
That's perfectly fine. I grew up with a brother who was literally referred to as the Encyclopedia Boy.
Oh,
so
yeah. My nickname was.
I totally like that.
In case you don't know, the Encyclopedia Britannica was Wikipedia before there was Wikipedia.
I'm very well aware of what that is
because
I had so many people try to sell it to me, the door-to-door salesman. We're selling the Britannica Encyclopedia. Like, it's the 21st century. We have internet now. Be gone. Yes, but the discount is huge. Internet.
I wonder why. Because it's free and it gets updated regularly.
Yeah, also very incorrect.
Does your encyclopedia have an entry on yesterday's bombings? No, bye.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, really, this happened. Somebody tried to sell it to me, and I was like,
they still deliver phone books.
What?
Phone books.
For people
Those
over 90?
Do they also sell spinning wheels and butter churners?
They are now called the fidget spinners.
Yeah.
I do know a place you can get a butter churn.
Butter what?
Churn.
Butter churn.
But
to churn butter.
Yeah.
Yes, to make butter.
But not a spinning wheel to spin wheels.
Yeah, and the
wheel spins.
The place is either a pawn shop or a museum.
Or an ethno
Hipster
village.
store.
Yeah.
So a museum.
Because hipsters don't have money to buy what's in the store?
I don't know.
No, like this hipster with huge muscles. Oh, you have been working out? No.
I was just churning butter.
Churn butter most my life living in an Amish.
Where's my
paradise.
ukulele?
He's also a singer.
He's
insufferable.
Yugoslav.
Yes.
I did
What?
not know that.
What?
Weird Al.
What?
Al Yankovic.
What about him?
You just quoted
He's-
him.
He's
No, he actually quoted him. Yeah, sorry.
He's Yugoslav. I didn't know that until
Yeah, he
after I
was.
got
What
here.
is a Yugoslav though? that's what turned.
Where
that's-
is Yugoslavia?
that's-
In here.
That is when you want to say where you're from, but you also want other people to know where that is.
So, one of the things I
I
find
don't think
interesting,
millennials know.
Serbia is not Siberia, and it's not Syria, and somehow Americans have trouble understanding that.
You telling me that? Look, I was renting a car in LA. I was like, can you like?
Did you
write
do it
the-
in Spanish?
No, I didn't.
Russian or Chinese?
No.
Oh no, that's San Diego.
I used plain old English.
Okay.
It was like, what's your country? I was like, Serbia? Syria? No. Siberia? No. Serbia. But okay, but what's the town? Was it Belgrade? Belgrade, Germany? what's
And you're
what's
like-
wrong with you?
and
We
you're-
started with the country.
And you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it makes any difference what they're gonna write there because renting a car in the state, like, here's the keys.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, here's my credit card. Here's,
And-
the,
and
keys,
like, here's the keys.
Here's my credit card.
And then a
back.
15 charges that you weren't aware of when you
Yeah.
get it back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but
Like,
that's
you
before
bastards.
tax and deductions
Yeah.
and charity and...
By the way, I hate that state tax thing. I hate it. Like when you walk in a convenience store, a grocery store, anywhere you walk
Lies everywhere.
in. What?
That was the thing that threw me off the most about being outside of the U.S.
Is the things
not
cost
like so
as
you
much as they stay.
Yeah,
So-
there's no lies, and there are things without sugar. There are.
I haven't found them out yet.
Where in Belgrade?
outside of the farmers market.
Are you kidding me, man? I show you.
Walk into a trafica. Find
Traffica.
something other than water without sugar in
Trafica,
it.
you know we have those health food stores.
Wait.
We've been through this.
The word for hello in Serbian.
Zdravo.
Ciao.
Okay, so I still do not speak Serbian. I'm trying my best. One day I'm walking down the road and I see a store and I'm like trying to read the different signs.
Hello food.
And it says hello food. I'm like, this is the place for me. And I walk in and I was like, oh, it's a food store for animals.
It's
It was a
candy
health food store. It was a health food store. Hello
Yeah.
food. Zdravo is health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was severely disappointed.
Well, zdravlje is health. So zdravo has the same root, and the point is you're wishing good health to somebody. That's the point.
And when you say ciao, you wish ciao.
What
What
is
does
that's it, that-
zdravo translate to be?
Sorry.
Zdravo?
Healthy.
Zdravo? Well, zdravo as in, well,
May you be healthy.
when you are speaking to somebody and you tell them zdravo, like I wish you good health, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about something and say always zdravo, like this is healthy.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just
So
we use-
there's another word I'm trying to think of
Okay.
that I hear. Zvolite.
izvolite. Yeah.
What does this mean?
Here you go.
Izvolite. Yeah. Like here you go.
Or can I
Curious.
help you?
Oh, can I help you? That makes sense.
Well, sometimes
It depends.
So like,
when it has a question mark, then yes, like izvolite.
Can I
well, that's
help
what the
you?
when you go to the farmers market, that's what like all the little old ladies and old
Yeah.
men say to you. Zvolite.
yeah.
As
So-
you
When I was a kid,
Walk past.
one of the things which was like common for children to say to people who are like older people would say "ljubim ruke," which is like literally translated to "I kiss your hands."
Mhm.
That nobody says that anymore. Like
Oh, that's
like,
cute.
but you remember that, right? You remember
I know. I live
No?
in a city.
that? Child from the suburbs, child from the fume-infused city center.
where are you? Zemen or
No, that's a different city.
It's literally across the river.
Literally, this joke was
There.
wasted.
You see, over there,
Uh-huh.
like beyond that.
That dark vortex of evil energy.
Yeah.
That's the place.
They
known
also
as,
called me a fire priest, where I'm from.
No, no.
No,
You were talking. You asked, what was my experience of Serbia, as far as we talked about pious people.
Yeah.
let's talk about people in general.
People in general are wonderful. One of the things that's interesting, people will ask, "Where are you from?" And I'll say, "I'm from America," and you'll get people who are older than me. I'm 40, so you'll get people in their older 40s, 50s, 60s, and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't like America." And I'll be like, "Oh, neither do I. That's why I'm in Serbia."
Obviously.
And they're like, "Oh no, I like Americans. I just don't like your government." I'm like, "Well, neither do I. Why do you think I'm in Serbia?"
Yeah.
And I found people, like, I was somewhat afraid because Serbia took the brunt of the bullshit from America. Joe Biden actually has several different speeches
We
where he
kinda
called
mentioned
for the bombing of Belgrade.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Time magazine ran these articles that were nothing but lies about how the horrible Muslim Serbs desecrated a Bosnian church. And anyone with half a brain realizes that Bosnians are Muslims and Serbs are Christians.
Yeah, the thing is, propaganda was kind of
Right.
practiced on the Balkans.
Right.
Thank God it's not anymore.
And we have such a see-through leader.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I found the people to be incredibly loving.
Pretty awesome.
As a street performer, I've met Serbian federal judges. I met the last Yugoslav ambassador to Mexico. I've met the Iraqi ambassador to Serbia. the Emirati ambassador to Serbia evidently has seen my magic show on the streets and will send young Emiratis that he meets into the city center to watch my magic show. I have no idea what he looks like.
Do you perform in Knez Mikhailova?
Yeah, I perform Knez Mikhailova.
I never saw you. I
Well,
never
well,
go to
you
Knez
lucky
Mikhailova.
man.
Well,
Lucky
it's
man.
invisibility
Yeah.
spell level 4. I mean, I would hide from you
You
too.
said fire priest or red wizard?
Yes.
Lord,
A lot.
I need to keep my mouth shut more.
Look,
So,
we don't judge here.
one of the things I found interesting.
Judge.
One of the things I found interesting is the diversity here. There are still people here that their family has been pagan throughout the entirety of their traceable history. You know,
When you
the
say
sections,
pagan, you mean communist.
No, I
No?
mean like actual pagan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what you're referring
So
to.
like the villages that didn't become Christian under the time of the Christian kings and such.
They still summon dragons over there.
Yeah.
And then you also have the Tsigany. And we won't translate that word
Romani
into...
people.
But see, that like that's an insult to the Tsigany that I know. They do not identify themselves as Romani. In Serbian,
strange.
they call themselves Tsigany. If they speak in English, they call themselves Gypsy. And do not flood this thing with how Gypsy is a pejorative. That's the word that they use. That's the word that I will call them.
Ironically,
they
it
have
is
the ability
pejorative,
to-
but it is also affectionate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
Affectionate? You mean
Affectionate.
affectionate?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
what he said.
Because I kind of
You
missed
swallowed the A.
and I was like,
Affectionate.
yeah, that's
No. I
Yeah, you
wanted.
swallowed the A.
Okay.
My bad.
Affectionate.
So, there was a young Tsigany boy who plays violin. That
there's 100 of young Tsigany violins.
Like,
There's
I
one
do-
in particular
I
that-
think that they have violin for arms.
Yeah,
there's
Tsigan in some Al-Nailebshi. You know that one?
Tsigany. What is it?
Well, that's the very very common song that you will hear from gypsy boys playing violins in buses. Maybe not.
I've never
during the
seen him on
Corona
the
pandemic.
bus, but
Yes.
this kid has actually a really nice electric violin and then a speaker, and he does a pretty good job.
Nice.
One day I walk up and like there's a woman that is very clearly giving him a hard time, and like even though I don't speak Serbian and I don't speak any of the Tsigany language, I realize that she's not really with it.
Yeah.
And
Don't mind me interrupting you, but it was like, time for the exorcism spell.
so I
No, not this one. I need stronger one.
Yeah.
right here. Who's
Saint
it?
Johann, Saint
Saint Joseph the Hesychist said that the Jesus prayer burns the demons.
It does.
So
Literally every saint who ever said that prayer said it.
yeah. So like I literally sat on the little stone bench behind this kid and just said the Jesus prayer, and she came up and gesticulated and cussed me in several different languages, and some of them I understood, some of them
She
I
did
didn't.
that in several different languages.
Yeah.
Like he speaks the Jesus prayer, she speaks in tongues.
Well, that's actually
The
the
usual.
Pentecostal understanding of speaking in tongues is
Yeah.
often some sort of demonic.
I've seen videos of that,
And
it's-
she ended up like walking away, and I turned to the young man and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. That woman was messed up." So I don't
boy
know that.
speak English.
Very little,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm absolutely amazed at how many people speak how many different languages here.
Yeah.
Especially among the Tsigany, they'll speak their family language or their village language. They speak Serbian. Many of them will also speak German and Italian and French. Just incredibly talented. linguists. Many people here in Belgrade speak English and German and Spanish. It's
True.
It's absolutely like, if you're American, part of the reason is Serbia is half the size of the state of Michigan, and it's possible to go basically through. So you can drive 3,000 miles across the United States,
That's
2,000 plus
500 something
kilometers.
Thank you.
Yep. 50. Yeah, 5,000 some kilometers. And you don't have to learn a new language. But literally, if we travel for 150 kilometers one way, we get to Bulgarian, which is same family, but different language. If we go slightly a different direction for that same period, we end up in Romania, which is a completely different family base. If we go a little bit different angle, we end up in Austria or in Hungary, with like Magyar isn't even like
It's not even a language.
But they speak German. A lot of them speak German.
Right.
If you know,
but
if
Magyar
you know
language, Hungarian language isn't so. Serbian, Romanian, all of those have their roots in something called Proto-Indo-European. Magyar does not. Hungarian does not. The only languages Hungarian is related to are Finnish and Estonian.
True.
And they are not mutually intelligible.
Absolutely.
But then you go a little bit over, you get to German. If you go a little bit north of German, Austria, German into Slovakia, you get a different language. Across the border, you get a slightly different language into Czech.
Yep.
Then you get another border and into Polish, and you still haven't gone 5,000 kilometers.
America's big.
Yeah.
It's big. America's really big.
We can drive for hours. There's a guy that tells a story. He started off in Texas at 8 o'clock in the morning. He filled up with gas, got breakfast at McDonald's, started driving, filled up with gas again, kept driving, stopped driving at 8 o'clock at night, checked into his hotel, and he was still in Texas. And that was when he realized that America is a big country.
Obviously.
Yep.
By the way, we are losing light,
Yep.
so this is going to become an invisible show. So
I
I want
to
to.
go really clear on the screen.
Screen is bright. Screen is very bright. So I will take the opportunity to do a commercial. If you're an American living in Serbia, come and we will put you on the spot.
We have very cheap dental services here.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Very,
yeah. You do that here. If you want to do something, you do it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is much.
People
the
come
thing.
here from surrounding countries to do stuff.
So the two things I've learned about Serbia. Serbian language is so easy, even Montenegrins speak it.
It's a
bad
local
joke.
joke. It's a local joke.
And the second thing is that Belgrade is paradise, as long as you're not looking for a job.
Yeah.
So just so you guys
And to get
understand,
around.
if you're from America, the average wage in Serbia, depending on which list you read, is somewhere between $250 and $350 dollars a month.
I can get you a job if you want to live during the night hours.
I know people that work for $10 a day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, 6 and 7 days a week. So when you guys see Boyan's Patreon account or what have you, every little bit changes this man's life.
Also, and because we also have our common Patreon account.
Oh!
It's a life changer.
Says the tech guy. Yeah, that has been one of those things that has absolutely amazed me at how hard Serbian people work for relatively how little. I have a friend that works for an American company at $4 an hour. And he's super happy making that much money.
Need to use calculator. Did you say $4 an hour?
Mm-hmm.
That's $40
400
a
dinar.
day. Oh man.
That's $672 a month.
Yeah,
That's-
so that's
that's
more
amazing.
than twice the national average.
That's
That's
really-
amazing. That's nice.
That's in Serbia. That's considered decent salary.
That's
That's crap.
I
But,
make-
that's the truth. You know,
That's like
as a
I always
as
tell
a street
tell
performer, I make
people
about $10 a day.
as a street performer.
Yeah.
Do you do anything else?
Whenever I can.
Sky tables.
Yeah, basically he steals and smuggles.
I do not steal, and I only smuggled the one time, and it was an accident.
Hangs out with the gypsies. Come on.
or as he calls them, familiar spirits.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's
Go,
like,
my birdies, go,
Yeah.
go.
Minions assemble.
So one of the things that blows me away.
Runs a gypsy gang ring.
I do this,
Court of miracles.
I do this little thing with a rope. Where
Sorry, all stereotypes join now.
I,
now.
I do this thing where I hold a rope and I snap it in a certain way and it ties a knot in it. Okay, it's not a trick; it's juggling. And one day I had this group of maybe 6 little Tsigani boys around me, and they're really good kids. They're having a great time, and this guy keeps telling me, "They're going to steal from you. They're going to steal from me." I caught him trying to steal from me once. The gypsy boys caught him twice. It was the white Serbian guy who stole from me.
But that's a tactic. You understand that?
And the
he
gypsy
steals and
boy-
blames the gypsies.
And the gypsy boys, not only did they catch him and made him put it back, but at the end, they ended up tipping me.
Okay, so
So-
when are we gonna come with our equipment to record your show? Do you do it only during night?
Yes, that is when the powers of darkness are at their peak, at their pinnacle.
One of my favorite, I know a hierodeacon that, because I use the word magic, is absolutely convinced, no matter what his bishop says, that I am using demonic forces. And so we had a thing.
We
he
are
said,
convinced.
You can't do your magic tricks while we say the Jesus prayer. And I was like, that's how I practice my magic tricks, is that I do the stuff saying the Jesus prayer. And he's like, no, you can't do it.
Okay, and they're like, fine, let's try.
And so I was like, well, I'm not allowed to do magic at the monastery, magic tricks at the monastery without the blessing of the bishop. And the bishop happened to be in the cafeteria.
In the magic circle.
and
And
you took out your feathers.
I want
Tickle, tickle.
like this other guy that was coming to the monastery at that point as a visitor walks in and gets the bishop to give a blessing, for this experiment, and I totally and completely fried this Hiero monk and his friend with a card trick, because it takes demons to do card tricks. In the meantime, the bishop is sitting there just giggling like a school kid, laughing at the hierodeacon. And finally, the hierodeacon was telling people that I was using demons and stuff, and the bishop got tired of it. So the bishop sent him to another monastery way out in the woods.
Nice. Smart.
When
Also
he's
smart.
not allowed to be around people.
His prayers work. God, please take this guy away.
And he turns into a bunch of feathers. Oh no.
And he collects them for the next time.
Yeah.
Look, we did kind of laugh at your expense a little
No,
bit.
it's good.
So my apologies for B,
For what?
for B's behavior.
Dirt. Crack.
But we do appreciate you and for spending the time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having me.
being a token Jewish character in our show. We are waiting for that Soros Israeli money any day now.
Oh man. Why are there so many conspiracy theories among Orthodox Christians?
We're very
Watch our previous episodes.
Yeah, watch our previous 2 episodes. But the short answer is they're very susceptible to it because Serbians recently,
Discovered the internet?
like different people around the world, which shall be left unnamed, have developed this victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Where
Yeah, I definitely see that.
the world is out to get us.
Well,
Which
you
it
did
is.
have you did have the
But still,
EU and the United States bombing you for years, and then you have the United Nations pushing for the annexation of historical Serbia to create a pseudo country,
the pseudo
Called-
country is already created. It's already
Yeah.
there.
and the ethnic cleansing that's going on, and the turning of churches into places where
Classics.
kids do
this is like,
heroin.
the Serbs did ethnic cleansing. Let's ethnic cleanse them.
Yeah.
from their lands. It is what it
Yeah.
is, man. It's the worldly injustice.
Do you know the solution to that?
Magic.
Oh, personal holiness.
But that's what they said.
Yeah, we've been
I mean,
kind
if
of
we're-
reflecting on that, and the end reason for this happening to us must be our collective apostasy.
Yeah.
And so
as
the
people.
solution to collective apostasy is your
Sorcery.
and my personal holiness.
Especially
I mean, not
yours.
that Boyan could have any personal holiness. I mean,
I can
So-
have personal
what do
Patreon
you-
account.
no, you've been to the U.S.
Yeah.
And you have.
He has been as well.
to the US.
He has been to the U.S.
What was the thing that you found most interesting about the U.S.?
Chippendales dance bars.
In-N-Out Burger. No.
Also Hooters.
In-N-Out Burger. Oh my goodness. People ask me if I miss America. I don't miss America. I miss some of my American friends, many of my American friends. And occasionally I'll miss some food. So Taco Bell,
Okay.
which isn't food, just so you know,
Okay.
Taco Bell is not food.
Checked.
And In-N-Out Burger.
Checked.
What's that?
Uh,
I mean, it's Kids Burger, so
You
So
know,
it's a
like a
miniature
$5
Plaskovitsa.
burger, $5 burger or something.
Yeah.
And it's like super tasty. I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah.
It's trash food, but it's super tasty.
And,
Well,
and that's the thing. I miss trash.
Yeah.
I miss American trash. I mean, American food from
We
time
also
to
have
time.
an episode
Super
about that.
Now,
I
Serbian
tried Taco
food.
Bell as well. Somebody
Just-
just described it very good as a trash can food.
So Serbian food, like when I came to Serbia, I had been in Iraq for 2 years, and I was talking to my godfather, who's a priest, and I said, "Father, I really miss hamburgers." And he said, "Don't worry about it. You'll get a good one in Serbia." And I'm like, "These people don't know anymore."
Huh.
Like, I had never been here,
Huh.
and then I was at a monastery, and so there was no meat, obviously. And then at one point, I get a Plaskovitsa.
Okay.
And just so you know, 200 grams, so almost half a pound of meat.
You have to tell me that's how you eat Peskowitz.
yeah. No,
On a
I
beautiful
eat 300 grams.
made that day bun with sliced shredded cabbage and something called the ivar, which is like heaven on earth, made
Yeah,
from
it's godsend. It got sent to Macedonians,
roasted
I think.
peppers,
Mhm.
and then pavlika, which is like a sour cream, and maybe a little bit of onions on it, and mayonnaise. Oh, it's like, yeah,
You
it
know-
is.
I can't remember the gospel from the last Sunday, but man, that Piaskvitsa had like 2 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. That's me.
You know, the thing is,
That's everybody.
United States,
yeah.
United States, you have one thing that Serbia could be lacking food-wise, which is diversity. In terms of there's many different, you have all sorts of Asian food, all sorts of food from all over the
And
world.
somehow here in Serbia,
But Serbia, food,
And-
I think food is still,
have you had burrito madre?
yeah, but it's
It's
No,
not
I-
Mexican food.
it's-
I don't
it's not like
understand.
It's
I
not,
like
it's
it.
not. It's burrito, but
Burrito.
adapted to the local taste.
And that's
buds.
the way all of the Chinese restaurants are here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when I was in Iraq, I wanted to taste a home, and so my friend took me into a Chinese restaurant. Why? Because it tastes like you're in like
Yeah,
Chicago
yeah,
or New
yeah.
York or whatever.
I want to taste home
And then
Chinese restaurant.
I came to Serbia, and I was like, I want to taste a home, and I went to the Chinese restaurant, and I was like, what? What
No,
is
because they will
this?
use the local vegetables. They will,
That's what they do everywhere.
you know,
But somehow
mild.
it's different here.
We don't eat spicy. here.
Yeah, that's.
We eat mild.
You did not turn off the phone.
Hey, by the way, really, the light is gone. Like,
Yeah, but we're still showing up on the camera.
Yeah, but that's because it's
Yeah, that's
light on
why-
this side.
yeah,
Yeah, on the
yeah.
opposite side, it won't be as pretty on the final product.
maybe we can buy a light for the camera or something. I think that is.
Yeah, 99
not?
cents at the Chinese store.
Do you know the
No.
99
No,
cents
like, I'm
Chinese
dead
store
serious.
controversy here in Serbia?
Yeah.
No.
No,
No.
we're gonna talk about that. I think that's a good topic for an episode. Actually.
No.
Do that.
We are going to introduce the next episode with our president signing that idiotic agreement with that story.
Oh dear God.
I don't. Is this like a Lidl story where like
No.
No.
like
No, we were
he
talking
opened
about-
the Lidls here in Serbia so poor people could have food, and things at Lidl are more expensive in Serbia than they are in
There's
Germany?
something about the 99 cents, which is always and has always been, will always be the 99 cents, right? In Serbia, because the dinar fluctuates.
Yeah.
It started as a $69 store. Then it became
$69,
$89. Then it became $99. Then it became $199. It became $399. It's literally.
One of the best jokes about that was this store that had this sign in front of it. Everything is up to 99 dinars and above. And somebody on some forum commented, you know what? They should call that store nothing for 99.
Exactly. Because they would use it like a but add a quantifier. Like everything's 99 times X. And like X is like anywhere from 1 to 100. Like,
Yeah.
wow. But it is. Everything is 99.
So
Everything is
evidently
like, you know.
in the UK they have stores called Town, their currency and Town, and they don't understand why it's so funny to Americans.
Go to town.
No. What is the British currency?
Pound.
Pound
It's
Town?
pound.
You guys don't get
Oh
that
dear
either.
God.
Hey, he got it.
Yeah.
I need to brush up on my British.
Pound Town.
But what?
Sorry?
Bottle of water.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Here's a knife.
You didn't know it. That's Australian.
Yeah.
Just plumb knackered.
You didn't know it. No.
We have
I'm
British
swell.
national watching this. We should quit it.
No.
So what are we gonna do to evangelize Serbia?
What are we going to do? Well, we're going to start by...
Podcast.
We're going to start a podcast? A new one?
I will start with feathers and smoke.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Look, I'm trying to get this guy to do a project with me which will evangelize the world.
Okay.
And he's like, I don't have the time for it.
Who says that?
He says that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says that.
He spends too much time
My
cooking.
ideas
Maybe you can
are
do
groundbreaking, world-shaking. I can't rap anymore.
children making.
Wow, yes, thank you.
He's so humble too.
Thank you.
He's so humble.
Oh, very. I'm very, like, I'm renowned
most
for my
humble.
humbleness. Guys, thank you for being with us today or this evening. Because we're losing light, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, because I look
but-
colored.
But that's... Is this politically correct? Censorship!
Yeah, see,
Before
I'm white.
we go, if you guys have a suggestion on what sound effect we could use for the heretic alarm,
We do have that sound. We just never got around to making it.
is it a
What
fart
is the sound?
No. It's from the Jekyll and Hyde musical.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When he proposes the formula.
Yeah, scratch that. We have the sound.
Perfect sound.
Guys, thank you. Bye.
Bye.